You approach a small... You get in a bit closer, but the village is well hidden from your prying eyes. Your scouts sneak upon the settlement and report that there are at least several warriors stationed around the village and more inside, including some boar riders and someone that looks like a shaman. They also report the village seems opulent with food and animal skins. There is a herb garden, an orchard, and they saw a large amount of meat drying in the courtyard. You come closer to the settlement with your weapons at the ready, just in case. Several guards step out from the village and block your way. One speaks up, looking around nervously. Who goes? The goblins murmur amongst each other, but before they give you an answer, a really fat, old grey-haired goblin slithers in front of them and speaks. Oh, our mad Godric's little toy. Ah, that shaman of ours. He's one crazy fella. Genius, though, you know. So, you mastered his contraption. Wonderful. We must celebrate indeed. And I must give him a good old slap for bringing random folks into our village. But, as luck has it, we do need the aid of strangers, if you're interested. So, in short, we have a slight problem with our mineral supply. You see, there is a little quarry not far from here, and it's owned by this funny demon type, the treasurer it calls itself. And you see, this fella is industrious. Instead of going around doing demon stuff, he's made a great business. But then he went and died, and his bigot son has taken over. The goblin scratched his head and shrugged his sluggish shoulders. Well, you know what? I never wondered about how these ones procreate. They look kind of like shrunken dwarves, so I guess they have all the bits. Anyway, the point being, the son tells us he will not trade with immigrants. I know, right? The cheek of it. I was born on this land, and my family goes back 7 generations, you know. We survived the darkness, we worked the land, we kept the Easterlands going, and this fella tells me he won't trade with foreigners. It's easy. Talk some sense into the stupid treasurer. Convince him to trade with us, please. And if you do, we will reward you dearly, and we can open up trading between our villages as well. We have food, excellent leather workers, unique supply of monster bones, and much more. Wonderful. Thank you. Here are the directions. Without them, you cannot actually find the place. A demon's safety issue. Good luck, and whatever happens, here is a small token of our gratitude. You come across a hidden stash, and it looks like whatever it... You have your loot safe in hand. You stand your ground and It turns out these were simply some... You come to what seems like nothing more than a small cave, but there are clear signs of cartwheels on the ground and bits of various minerals lying around. When you peer into the cave, it appears to be an entrance into a huge underground complex. But before you can explore it, a rather small, almost childlike yet bearded man in a wide-brimmed hat and a well-cut suit appears before you. He wears several gold chains around his neck, and as he opens his mouth, you see his teeth are made of diamonds. Who are you? How did you find this place? Ah, that green-skinned slug. And the name? Does it sound like a nice Easterland name to you, my fellow? No, it does not. His kind do not belong here. Honest folk like yourselves should be using our land, not some foreign whatsits. I am not angry. I just don't like foreign folk coming here and taking our jobs. My stones will only go to good people, like yourselves, perhaps. Why don't we make a deal and leave these foreign types to themselves, eh? Oh, you mean you're not magical folk? That is true, and it pains me as well. But as young and fresh as you are at your core from this land, just like my kin. We may not see eye to eye on every issue, Some of my kin are known to cross the boundaries of acceptable conduct, but as I said, we're all Easterlanders. So, do we have a deal? And so you see, you dishonor your father by treating his customers this way. The treasurer looks down at his fancy pointed shoes and wipes off a tear from his cheek. Ah, damn you, bringing up the old man. You're right. He was adamant about his business being inclusive. I guess I shall just have to put up the prices for them lot. You can tell the greenskins I will trade, and here, have a small reward. After all, my stubbornness might have cost me good business. Sorry, my business is niche, only selected clientele. Suit yourselves. Tell them to come at the usual time. You approach a small, well-hidden village inhabited by goblins. So, you've spoken to the treasurer yet? Yes, well, if it was an easy task, we wouldn't be looking for strangers' help, right? In any case, business is business, and we must all survive. So now, let us talk business. Our villages should trade and help each other. We can exchange 20 iron for 20 leather, 10 gold for some advanced trophies, 3 ranged weapons for some advanced trophies, minimum 10, 2 sets of armors for some rare trophies, minimum 8. Want to trade? Excellent. Here we go. See you next time. You follow the treasure map provided by King Arathor, and you come across a great ravine. You know that the next clue to where the treasure is lies beyond. There is a bridge that can lead you safely over the ravine, but you see a ghostly figure standing at the threshold. You approach the bridge, and the ghost turns to you and speaks. If the bridge you seek to cross, you must be ready for a loss. Questions of you will be asked, and with answers you are tasked. But beware of answers wrong, lest you prove not so very strong. 3 questions I will ask, and you must finish the whole task. The one who speaks is the one who the truth seeks, and should they fail, their fate will prevail. The first person walks up to the ghost, and it speaks again. What good, good. Next question. What is your favored color on this earth? Correct. The final answer you must now give. What speed would a rock thrown by a troll fly? The ghost looks at you, confused, and speaks. I don't know, really. An invisible force hits the ghost, and it falls down the ravine. As it hits the rocks, you hear, "You have passed the test, brave knight." Everything falls silent. And on the other side of the bridge, you find another map with instructions to find the treasure. You also feel that some of the ghost's essence got into a weapon you carry, and it now deals poison damage. The map is simple, but clearly inscribed with magic, so it should be easy to follow. You see fresh boar tracks. It looks like a large pack. You come across the pack. You have defeated the boar pack. Two of your fellow villagers decided to get married, and since times are dire, as followers of Veles, you honor some elder traditions, perhaps reaching back to the days of the elves. The young couple swears their oaths under an ancient oak tree, citing, "Our souls, reborn in these mortal coils, have found their missing halves, and from two incomplete spirits they will now become one, stronger and immortal." The newlyweds are then blessed by Veles. Only then do the usual libations, with an excess of food, strong spirits, and plenty of naked dancing through the night, proceed and last for many nights. Libations were long, and the spirits flowed in abundance, so many of you are feeling the effects. The wedding... You stop to rest and look up at the night sky when you see a swarm of crows circling nearby. You can feel a strong spell. You broke the spell, and suddenly you clearly see that a Striga mistress stands before you. Her gaze is still capturing. Distracted by your words, the Striga weakens her magical hold on your women as well, and so they are able to strike. Together, you defeat the bloodsuckers, and their hearts turn into blood-red rubies. You approach a group of giants, and you have just enough time to figure out the best approach. You hear rumors of a band of robbers setting up camp in the area. Some of your food stocks and supplies have gone missing over the weeks, and there are your scouts. You discover tracks lead. You come across a dead body lying in some sort of ditch. You search the corpse and find some of its belongings still intact. Now that you take the time to look at the scene, following the instructions laid out by the shack, you find an old worker's hut, hidden away from prying eyes by a strange, unnatural mist. The air around this place is thick and cold, and yet the mist smells of ginger and honey. The more you look at the house, the more alluring it becomes. Within the house, you hear the faint laughter of children, followed by sporadic sobs and even screams. You enter into the main chamber and see a large furnace still burning hot, despite there being no signs of smoke outside. There is a tall stack of old rugs lying by the furnace and nothing else. You hear a crying child as if it were sitting inside the flames. Before you stands a tall, ragged woman with wild eyes and a crooked grin on her face. She wears a torn-up dress, sadly revealing her dried-up, long breasts. She has long, sharp nails, and her hair is wildly disheveled. Perhaps she was once a young, even a pretty woman, but the form that stands before you now is worn down by forces beyond nature. She stretches out her hands before you.
My children, have you come back to me?
Although you have heard the tales of a Baba Yaga, an evil witch hell-bent on killing children, you have heard from the wise ones that this poor creature is most likely trapped in her own body, dead but unable to die. She was once a mother who lost her children to a sudden, brutal death, forced to watch helplessly as her kin perished in torment. Her soul died along with her children, yet her body did not, thus leaving a creature tormented from within, driven to utter madness and despair. Some of these poor women indeed become the witches from the tales. In their madness, they seek out children and try to care for them, only to realize that death is their sole gift. This drives them ever deeper into the depths of insanity. You know how to protect yourself from the witch's curse, but killing her is still not an easy feat. If you strike down the witch with mortal weaponry, she will be banished for a time, but not dead. The only way to truly defeat Baba Yaga is to fight the very curse that befell her, but only those with magic can do that. Luckily, you have among you those who can weave the winds of magic, and so they prepare for the grueling ritual of cleansing. break the evil curse that tarnished the soul of Baba Yaga. For a second, a young woman appears before you, dressed in her wedding garb and pregnant. She smiles, then turns back into an older woman, but this time she seems more human.
Thank you, my children. You have rescued my soul. Now I am yours to command. Will you accept my service?
You agree, despite certain reservations. As a sign of goodwill, the Baba Yaga also frees some children she had stashed. You stop to rest and look up at the night sky when you see a swarm of crows. You can feel You broke the spell, and suddenly you clearly see that a Striga mistress stands before you. Her gaze is Distracted by your words, the Striga weakens her magical hold on your women as well, and so they are able to strike. Together, you defeat the bloodsuckers, and their hearts turn in. You come to the place marked on the map, and instead of a cave or a hidden treasure chest, a small lake appears out of nowhere. You take a few steps forwards and feel a blessing fall upon you. You are rested, your wounds are healed, and you just feel really happy. As you stand there, basking in the new feeling, a woman appears out of the lake and speaks in a calm yet commanding voice. Welcome, Knights of Arathorn. You are far from Camroth, yet I, the Lady of the Lake, will grant your knightly boon as it was agreed. The lady barely looks at you and only nods. She hands you a sizable chest and recites, I hereby fulfill my oath to the Knights of King Arathor from Camroth. May these offerings guide you on your path to enlightenment and your quest for our kingdom. Fare thee well. One of your weapons becomes touched with... Thea is not an easy place to grow up in, but alas, grow up we must. One of your children has matured into a young adult and is ready to join your village and rebuild Thea. Becoming an adult is The night is quiet. You feel the grump. There is a series of distant... The whole land. Many people get bruised. You go down the tunnel, and soon you hear the bandits in the distance. From the sounds of it, they're having a party, so it is a good opportunity to strike them down. You defeat the bandits. Their lair stands ready for looting. You search the back room and find a cage with bodies of wolves inside. The poor creatures look like they were starved to death. A black cat is spotted rummaging through the barn. You followed the cat outside, and it leads you into a patch of brambles where you are at. You beat the old witch, and you find some herbs as well as an old book about herbalism. Thea is not an easy place to grow up in, but alas, grow up we must. Becoming an adult is an important... You are set upon by a small group of rugged-looking dwarves. Their faces are scarred, as if they cut off their beards with their axes, which they probably did. Their clothes are worn and their eyes hungry. Only their weapons remain in perfect condition, the last remnant of their bygone heritage. One steps up and spits before speaking.
Money, or we'll kick your teeth in now.
You have defeated the dwarven bandits. You realize a few of them have somehow broken their weapons in a last act of dying, but perhaps some can be salvaged.